I hit play and open up the modify particle size property page, the source parameter that I'm using to actually modify size is the age, and we're not actually getting the particle size being modulated over the entire age. So we actually want to modify over the age percentage, and there we're starting to get a pretty thick plume. I would hate to be smoking the cigarette that guy's got. So in any event, I'm probably going to have to take the multiplier down. And if you actually look at what's happening with our multiplier, we're actually mapping the age of the particle along the horizontal axis of this function curve. So 0 represents the birth of the particle, 1 represents the death of the particle, and along the vertical axis we have a size representation. So at birth the particle size is very small, and at death the particle size is a value of 1. So we're actually normalizing our size, and our multiplier just enhances that. So perhaps what I could do is actually have a little more smoke at the beginning, so I could actually just reverse these curves. If I press Q to activate my region tool, I'll just draw our region. And reverse those values. So now I can amp up these values quite easily. So I can have the particles a lot thicker. Or thin them out really early on. So again, I got to find my unit scale here, otherwise it looks pretty strange. There we go. So I think that's working pretty well. So we're getting some thick particles early on, and they thin out very quickly towards the end of their lives. Unfortunately, this hasn't really worked for us for mental ray. If we look at our render region, mental ray still thinks we're dealing with a bunch of spheres that are shaded as thongs. So if we wanted to actually render this using mental ray, we're going to have to require a slightly different approach. So the hardware shading looks pretty good, and we could capture that and we could composite it. So the hardware shading is always a solution. And in XSI, you can actually carry these attributes that you've defined in your ice tree and carry them into mental ray and use them to modify mental ray parameters inside of the particle volume shaders. So we don't want this look for mental ray. So our next goal here will be to create a render tree for our particles.